Hello, everybody. This is Ranger Rob, and welcome to the RangerRob Country Living Podcast. I need to remind some people, if you're going to use the chat, sometimes when people use the chat on Facebook, we're not seeing it here on the software we're using. But give it a try, and if it's not working, just hop over to YouTube and get on the chat there because we'd love to hear from you. So I want to remind you guys, the RangerRob Country Living Podcast. I just found out you can hear us on Alexa. All I have to do is say, Alexa, I got to be careful because I got Alexa in here, and say, play a RangerRob Country Living Podcast, and it finds it. It's amazing. And we're also on Spreaker and several other platforms. And today, actually, I'm kind of excited because I have a friend of mine that's going to be on the show, and his name is George Guzman. Now, some of you guys, if you watch our other show called She Said, He Said, also, he's on that show. Now, George is a Navy veteran. We work together in aerospace industry and lives in Texas. And I kind of call him my Texas city slicker a little bit. But anyway, I like to get his aspects on what's going on in Texas and have a general conversation about what we do in homesteading and prepping, all that stuff. So with further ado, let me bring on George. Hey, George, how are you?
Pretty good, Rob. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good to see your smiling face, my friend. Good to see your smiling face.
And they're my real teeth.
Mine too.
Yeah. So see, get my comments up and running here. This is a fairly new show, George. So it's not like our She Said, He Said, where they kind of pile on with the comments. And
right.
So we're kind of working our way there. And I'm not sure if it's 5 o'clock at Pacific time is the best time, but we're kind of like, this works really good because Sherry and I are caregivers, which we've told you. So right. Sherry likes to go see her mom after work on Wednesdays, this is a good time for me to kind of like, because I like to have quality time with Sherry. So me doing a radio show is not really quality time with Sherry unless she does a show with me. And she's a little shy in that area, but she says when she retires, she'll be on the show all the time.
When she retires.
Yeah. I don't know how long that's going to be. So we do have, when it's working, it's not exactly on right now, but we do have the chicken cam on the sideline.
Love the chicken cam. Can't go wrong with the chicken cam.
Darn right. So I was telling people you're from Texas.
Yes, right-a-ree, yes-a-ree, Bob.
You're listening to too many of my shows. Yes, sir, Bob. What part of Texas, once again?
El Paso, Texas.
So how long have you been there now? It's been almost a year, hasn't it?
Actually, it'll be 2 years in April next year. So we're about a year and a half, maybe a little more than
that. Time flies, man. I can swear.
I can't believe it. Yeah.
I thought you just moved there.
Insane. Yeah, you would have thought so, but I guess last year was such a blur with everything going on, everything, it moves so fast. It just, I'm glad it kind of did. What's that?
Did you go to Washington this year?
Yeah, we did. We went down there and actually stayed for about maybe 3.5 weeks, roughly about there.
Wow.
It was probably way too long. Way too long.
Well, they're a little stricter up there than you guys in Texas, isn't it?
Oh yeah, a lot more restrictions and things than we have here in Texas.
Yeah, so around El Paso, what's kind of like the hottest news going on over there?
Well, I mean, obviously the border crossings, things like that that's going on right now. It's big time hot news. I mean, that's pretty much what you hear every night. Talking about the severity of it and why things are not getting better. What's our plan? There's all kinds of things going on. especially around Del Rio, which is not that far from San Antonio.
Yeah,
And
I
where
remember
I actually went to college there.
when I moved from Washington to Arizona. It was amazing how the media was a lot different down south because they were talking about the issue of the borders where you get up here in the north and they're brushing it off and saying we're blowing smoke and they don't see the real thing. But as soon as I was quite eye opening to move down to Arizona and realized there really is problems down there that need to be addressed.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of things like that going on. I mean, Border Patrol people are definitely overwhelmed right now, especially with all the the immigrants are coming from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Haiti seems to be the one that's the worst right now. They're having quite a bit of influx of Haitians.
Yeah.
And
Since you stay involved with the vets a lot, do you know any Border Patrol folks?
actually, I do. One of my best friends was a Border Patrol agent. And of course, I'm not going to say his name on the radio, but he is he has been there. He's been Border Patrol for almost like 25 years, and he says basically we're just totally understaffed, and there's really no way to get things under control until we start getting some sort of line of defense, which they're really lacking. They don't really have a good line of defense because of what's going on over there.
Now, how did you feel about things, say, a year ago before we had this other leader with the border? What was the feedback then?
Well, it wasn't as severe. I mean, you always have crossings all the time. It's just that it's a little more controlled because they were able to focus it and funnel it to one location instead of having it, funneled to several locations and where people are kind of gathering. It's a lot more difficult now that we don't have that the restrictions and the obstacles that they had to go through in order to get here. That was really a good safeguard, needless to say, because of the way they were able to funnel everything into one area. That way they could control, the people that came in, good and bad, and it's really, it's been very hard to do now based on what my friend was telling me.
Yeah. So no, I was going to ask you a question, and you might actually see more of this and hear more of it than I do. And the reason being is I don't want to say, I know you have medical treatments on a weekly basis or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you do that also through the Veterans Association, or do you do that through the hospitals?
I do it through the Veterans Association. It's kind of a mixed thing, along with the insurance I have. So,
yeah. So my question being is about healthcare workers. Are you hearing or having problems down in Texas, like in some areas up here north, with losing essential workers because they didn't get the job in the arm?
That is all pretty much, I think, Texas wide. They're having a lot of trouble with that. People are actually, I mean, the majority of the nurses that I know are pretty much vaccinated, and they were doing it voluntarily, not so much being forced.
Yeah.
And so it has become a little bit of an issue in certain cities. I've heard a lot of that going on, but they're basically, giving them ultimatums, and it's not fair. It's not fair, if they don't want to get a jab in the arm, if they decide that's what happens, they get COVID. It is what it is, but that's their choice.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be made by, another entity that has no reason to be actually telling us what we can and can't put in our body. So
definitely. Yeah, I got on a rant a little bit, and I made a video that actually came out today. I'm sure I'm getting bad mouthed about, but we have a little fire department here on Crooked River Ranch in Oregon, and they had to let go of their volunteers because some of them didn't have the job.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, volunteer fire department people that come out to help and save your house or save our properties, and or show up during an emergency, and the help, nope, not being paid, and we're letting them go. And I understand too, because the government's scaring them, saying, hey, you're going to lose your funding if you don't support this, this policy. And so, their hands are tied, and so they could be the nicest people running the organizations, but if they can't afford to lose their funding, so they're letting them go. And in October, I think we're losing a lot of healthcare workers in our hospitals too, and I just feel that's so sad.
Yeah, I was a volunteer firefighter for 3 years there in on Whidbey Island, and they actually produce probably about a quarter of the force.
Yeah.
So that I pretty much would say is Washington wide, that you would have at least a quarter of the force that actually is volunteer. So you take away that quarter of the force, there's a lot of unmanned things, a lot of shortages where you're going to have some of those places overwhelmed because they don't have the staffing for it or the extra volunteers.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a problem down the line, So it just, they go through a lot of stuff. They have to deal with a lot of issues. And
it's like if I was in a car accident, my house was burning, my property's on fire, or I need EMS, or I need the last thing I'm going to ask if I'm still coherent is, did you get the job? I wouldn't care.
Exactly right. I'm not going to care if I got, I'm bleeding like crazy and I want him to stop it. Am I really going to care if that's No, I don't think so. Wait, hold on a second. Did you get the jab?
I need to see your card.
Right. I got to see your, yeah, definitely. Nah.
So how's your food availability down there? You have any troubles in your stores?
No, not necessarily. Not as much. Our food storage has actually been pretty good. There are some shortages on meat, of course, a little bit of meat. But the big thing is wood seems to be very, very hard to get.
Wood is
not, it's just more expensive now. I mean, it's probably almost like twice the price on certain things. It's getting expensive. And it just has to be with, what's going on as far as moving trucks across and doing things. So that's one of the items that it's
coming down a little bit, but
it is.
Your grocery store is looking good.
Yeah, they look pretty doggone good. I'm just very surprised. There's nothing going on bad here in Texas, and be it known that a lot of what you hear in the media that about Texas is not entirely true. So imagine that.
No, I can't believe that can't be true. I'm changing my background there a little bit.
Well, you read, and everybody's always asking me, "Oh my gosh, there's like the pandemic is out of control there in Texas," and it's not as severe as a lot of people think it is. And we got a lot of people in the hospitals, but not nearly as bad as a lot of people think.
Yeah, well, our media is, we have the same problem. No, it doesn't matter what state you're in. So, so I got to check up on you because I've always been in the prepping and being prepared and self-sufficient. So, have you gotten any better at being a little more self-sufficient, George?
I actually have. We've been very good about. Well, we're definitely hoarders of food, and we, if something were to go down and we had that, zombie apocalypse is supposed to be coming, we would survive. We'd be okay.
So how long do you think you could last?
I would say probably about a good, maybe a year. I think we have enough stuff for a year.
Holy moly. What got into
you? Yeah, we could definitely. well, we just, it wasn't so much. We're just pack rats when it comes to food, and we give a lot away. We give a lot of food away as well too, because we managed to find some places here that need and require food. Yeah. So we give to some of the local, people that actually need don't have the availability that we have, and we get to get them some food. So
cool. Get them on chicken cam. Oh, that didn't
chicken
work, right?
cam.
Chicken cam. There we are.
Chicken cam.
We're not moving though. I'm having a little trouble with technical problems. Oh well. I'd let you see the chickens, but the camera's freezing today. Technology, dang it.
Yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah. So, well, the reason I kind of asked you that because like last year, now it didn't affect you, but Texas really took a hit for the winter with an unexpected freeze, and half your state was just crippled.
I'd say about 3/4 of the state there, Rob. 3/4.
But you didn't get hit at all in El Paso, right?
Yeah, El Paso actually learned from their mistakes back in 2009, I think, or 6. It was 2006 or 9. I can't remember. But what we did is we actually had the same thing happen in El Paso. And what El Paso did is they went to a different part of the grid and actually got our grid is on a totally different scale. And we ended up getting a better, let's just say a better system for us that worked for El Paso. And we never fall off the grid. We were fine. We didn't even, there's no power bumps for us. Occasionally we'll have a power bump, but for the most part, we didn't lose anything here in El Paso. It was cold, and just like it was in the whole state of Texas, cold and icy, but to tell you the truth, we never suffered.
Wow.
Not like the other poor folks that in Central Texas, boy, they got hit hard, so hard.
So what if you lost your power for a week or so? How would you guys be all right? Do you have a backup?
In that type of freeze? I would say we would have to we'd be like everybody else. If we lost our power for a week, we could survive, but it would be just like everybody else, with their own burners, that kind of thing. I'm ready for that anyway. I've got all kinds of resources.
Cool. Because I always quote somebody. I couldn't believe last year somebody in Texas got on the news and says, "I don't know how do you heat water?" And it's like, really? Come on. I mean, a little butane stove, a little Coleman stove, maybe go out in the porch.
Yep.
Anything under a candle. I don't know. I just like that's pretty pitiful. So. I always laugh. It's like, I can't believe I heard that out of Texas, that somebody get on there and go, I don't know how to boil water without electricity. It's like, and so that's my first question to anybody that does any prepping or getting anything self-reliant is, number one, can you boil water?
Yep, exactly right.
So
I don't know that they have a lot of the, they're not a state that has terrible things like that, other than you get tornadoes. Right. You get tornadoes, you get ice storms, you get a lot of those kind of disasters. But the west part of El Paso or of Texas, actually, I don't know if they've really experienced a whole lot of that. So they're not entirely prepared, I would say, because up in Washington, we lose power all the time. We're used to it. Yeah. We pop on the generator and we're good to go, just for the most part. And we're kind of used to those windstorms that knock out power quite a bit, And then, of course, up on the East Coast, they're always prepared, because they get winters over there that are just terrible winters. So they're prepared. They have their own, sources of heat and ways to cook and that kind of thing. So they're prepared. But certain places, I would say, they're not entirely prepared and don't really know what to do. So you're going to catch yourself. You got to be careful. That's all I can say is that.
I feel it's kind of a funny question for Texas, but how's your gas prices down there?
For Texas, they're high, because they're right around about $3.06 right now at the pump. And for having it at $3.06, that is most expensive I've ever seen it here in Texas.
Wow. I think we're somewhere between 329 and 379, somewhere in there. I can't remember. I get diesel, so I can't really. I don't pay attention to the regular. So, but regular, you're it's not unusual to see $4. I mean, for diesel, close to it's usually like 389, something like that. But it's up there. I mean, we're not. I think I actually paid over $4 a gallon at a kind of an outside station. I had to just fill up a couple of gas cans, and I was a little shocked at how much that cost me.
Over there in California, the gas prices are like well over $5 a gallon. In certain places, some of them might be a little cheaper if you get on the outskirts of California, but most of them are over $5. $5 a gallon. Oh my gosh! Imagine if you've got a big old giant rig that requires a lot of gas. You're gonna pay out the nose. It's insane.
I'll never forget when I was RVing with a 40-foot motorhome, and we're going from Oregon to California at Lakeview, and I had to fuel up there. It was the very first time I ever had to pay over $5 a gallon, and that was diesel. But that was a devastating bill.
Without a doubt. Oh my gosh. You're looking at it and going, holy smoke, did I just spend that on gas?
It was well over $200 for, was it 80 gallons or 40 gallons? Something like that. Anyway, it was still, I couldn't believe the number. So how's the restaurants down there? Everything's kind of, restaurant owners?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, the restaurants are outstanding, of course, because they serve everything I like, steak and Mexican food. And pretty much, and that's what they have down here. They got great hamburgers. I mean, as far as the amount of people going into the restaurants, you would not believe the capacities. People are just flooding the restaurants like they had no pandemic going on at all.
Wow.
The people are being careful. They do go in, they wear masks, and then when they're seated and they're eating, they take their masks off. When they leave, they put their masks back on. Yeah. It's simple as that. You do not have to segregate everybody just because because you think that it's going to, quick spread everything of what's happening with us.
Yeah.
But most of the people there, does not even faze them. They want to go drink their margaritas.
You bet. How's the schools doing?
And that would include me as well. Gotta love my margaritas.
Me too. How's the school districts doing down there?
I mean, they have a constant battle going on with justification of masks. The school districts want to go ahead and continue wearing masks. And then there are a lot of people who are just saying, no, we don't want to wear masks right now. Some of the colleges the same way. It is a controversial, and I don't think it's going to ever see an end. Literally because of what has happened recently.
I know it's like almost every school district here, it's a war zone at every meeting. They're trying to, if it isn't something weird that they're trying to implement, it's the masks and everything else. And the parents are just, it's a war zone. I mean, every school district is I'd be afraid to go to some of those school board meetings.
Oh yeah, it's a constant fight. I mean, they've had actually people, some of the school board meetings, like you said, I think I saw this not too long ago on I can't remember where I saw it, on the news. And a couple of parents were wanting to go into the meeting and to talk about a certain thing, and they wouldn't let them go in because it was all about the masks and et cetera, et cetera. So,
Jeez. So your restaurants are doing pretty good. That's good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You wouldn't even think there was any kind of pandemic going on there. I mean, gosh, on a Friday night, holy smoke, you can't even find a place to sit in some of the restaurants because they are loaded to the gill. So they're at full capacity.
That's good to hear. And last but not least, for my Texas questions is like your Walmarts and Costco's and stuff? How are the products and inventory looking?
I have not seen any decline in any products like TP or any of the things that are home necessities. I've looked around. I mean, I've watched. The only thing I could see is a slight decline on the meat, but other than that, I see every time I go to a store, they look like they're in good shape for any kind of product that you need. Walmart, Target. We usually shop because we have a super Target not far from our house. So we just go to the super Target or Walmart because
Yeah.
Walmart's not that far either. Good inventory. I really don't see a whole lot of things that you normally would need on a daily basis in any kind of despair.
Yeah.
So
There's been talk in some Walmarts actually having some inventory problems, but I'm not sure if it's inventory problems or people problems, getting people, people to stock the shelves. So I've also heard that Walmarts have like tons of inventory in the back. They just don't have the manpower to get it up front.
yeah, that could be true, but here in El Paso, I just don't see that. I mean, I see a lot of the staffing seems very good. You always have an employee greeting you at the door and greeting you as you leave. And so they've got plenty of people to be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you seeing a lot of for hire signs in all the businesses and restaurants?
yeah, they do. They have a lot of hiring for hiring signs, but it seems as though it's mostly the smaller businesses.
Hmm.
They can't work. Well, with the way it's going right now, people are starting to get back to work, but they've been really here in Texas getting back as best they can to what they know. However, some of the places, the smaller businesses, smaller restaurants, the little mom and pop places, have a lot of trouble finding people.
Yeah. I'm curious about like Texas, if they're having the problems we are, like our McDonald's, Jack in the Boxes, Sonic, thing like that. They either closed off the eating areas, or like Sonic, they actually block off all the parking areas in the outside where you can order food. Um, and you just use the drive-through now. Anyway,
Yes.
I mean, it's not just one or two. It's like every one of our fast food restaurants are shut down. Part of their business, like it just, I don't know if they can't get the manpower or what, but like our Sonic, you can't even pull in the little slots and order from your car because they blocked them all off. And we have a Jack in the Box. I think they're finally going to go out of business. I think because they can never seem to stay open.
Right.
There's a lack of people. So I don't know. You guys having that kind of trouble?
No, actually, no, we're not. We don't have that kind of trouble. We they're fully staffed as far as I can see. Pulling into any kind of fast food, all of the lounges are open for eating. You can even see signs in the windows saying "lounge open" or "the main lobby open." They always have all kinds of signs that say that you can come in. And like I said, Texas loves their food, so they actually go in every single restaurant you would imagine on a Friday or Saturday night, absolutely packed.
Wow. Well, maybe when things change up here, I may have to sell this place and go to Texas.
Yeah, it may not be a bad idea. It's just that I see a lot of people just kind of going from place to place. You don't see a lot of. I mean, yeah, everybody kind of is cautious. Like me and my uncle, we're having a barbecue this weekend at his house, and we're going to have a lot of our family over there. I mean, there's nobody going to call up and say, "Hey, they're having a barbecue over there," because they have actually talked about that. Having somebody actually call and tell on you if you're having a party. They're making those kind of things available now, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I think that would happen in like neighborhoods around here that are close together, houses that are close together.
Right.
But out here, everybody's got acreage, so it's like
you're not going to see that.
But I do see a little gossiping. We have a thing called Next Door
Uh-huh.
I think it's called, and you can see them yapping about something that somebody else is doing.
Right,
So,
right.
really? So we have a couple of Karens around here, but not so much like the city or just the outskirts. But um, I always want to check if I'm ever influencing you at all. So are you doing any gardening yet?
No, not at this point. We've kind of toyed with the idea, but both of us have such kind of busy things going on. Me, not so much. My illness is definitely kind of taking its toll on my body, so it's been a little
Yeah,
more difficult to do things. Um, I get by pretty good. I do what I have to do. But
yeah.
for the most part, no, we haven't really been able to get in a whole lot of gardening. Not much you could do in the sand.
Well, that's kind of what we got too. Um,
Yeah.
are you preserving any food? Like,
Oh
do you,
yeah, of course. We have maybe had some good jams that we're preserving right now, so
oh wow,
that's always good. And then of course fruit. We do a lot of fruit when we can.
yeah.
But for the most part, that's about it, Rob. I'm sorry.
And, and
You
margarita
may have.
mixes.
Yeah, it's hard to do here in Texas sometimes. But
Yeah, yeah. I've heard.
my wife works pretty much, um, you know, every day, and so she gets home tired. So it's
Well,
kind of difficult to get her
if you
to.
call me up and say, when shit hits the fan, we have the apocalypse. You say, Rob, I'm coming up. My first thing I'm going to tell you is load your truck up with all that food you got, and then you're welcome.
Oh, we'll bring the whole trailer and everything, man. Just load it up with all the food.
Yeah. Did you ever get an RV?
Well, we're working on it. We decided not to get an RV, but maybe just a trailer.
Yeah.
So right now we're in the midst of getting our car hooked up and everything that we need, all the hookups and everything that we need in order to pull a trailer. And then we're probably going to get like an R pod.
Yeah, we got this giant beast of a fifth wheel, and we'd actually like to make it smaller, but we bought it brand new, so we kind of wait till a certain period of time where we could actually sell it for what it's valued at, or otherwise we're underwater.
Yeah, same goes with my uncle. He's got himself it's not a huge one, but he's got, I think, a 28 footer, maybe a little longer than that. But that he's going to sell. He wants to sell that too as well.
Yeah.
But he's trying to get the best dollar that he can because he knows what the value is of it as well.
Yeah.
And he wants to kind of get the best dollar for it. And he loves to go fishing because we actually do have a lake nearby. It's about 3 hours away, Elephant Butte, and so it's a beautiful lake. And so you can go fishing there and do your little bit of camping if you need to. So we got a lot of places around here that would actually go camping, and so we're excited to get our trailer so we can start doing that.
Well, I guess also when I do the show is to kind of talk about some of the new things coming up here. So tomorrow, I have an electrician coming in to do a final thing that I want for a backup system, which is it's called a master switch system that you put on your house. And what happens is with this master switch, you flip the switch, shuts off the main breaker, right, of the house, takes the power off totally.
Great.
And then and then in return, it turns on another 50 amp plug in the outside of your house. So then you can take your generator and plug into your house and only run systems that you feel that would fit the size of your generator.
That are essential for that. And then
so I can't run my heating system.
Wouldn't overload your generator. Yeah.
Right. But I could keep all my 20 amp plugs on, which would be like this room here. My computers could stay on. We could also, hey, Jack, how are you? We can actually have our internet on. We can have certain refrigerators still on, freezers still on. So it's kind of similar. I have something similar to this on my well house because we have our own water.
Right.
I had one of those installed. It's kind of like an RV plug-in type thing on the outside of the generator, which I just flip over the circuit breaker and bypass. So the thing is, whenever you have a generator, you don't want to send power back into the lines, especially if they're working on them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have to. So anyway, this electrician will be here tomorrow, and I'll finally have that project done. So we could literally uh, heat wise, we have a pellet stove. We decided not to get a wood stove, so I do need electricity for that. So
Right.
that's kind of why I want a backup system that can plug into the house. And I do have a little 2,000 watt generator. Also, I have a big one too. I have a 5,000 that I can just set out outside and run cords into the house, and I could still run our pellet stove. And we get pretty chilly here, so
Yeah, I know you. It's just I kind of miss the fall. I love the fall down there,
I kind of
or
missed
up
that
there.
too when I was
Excuse
in
me.
Arizona. Same way.
I can't get past that up there and down there. I'm
I
down
know.
here and you're up there.
True.
So, but yeah, I missed the fall because I know it got a little cold, a little chillier, and everybody was kind of having to reach for, sweaters and just about everything else, because it got cold.
That was
Over
the
here,
hardest thing.
yeah, that's like our summer.
That was the hardest thing was I was moving back here. One is figuring out where my jackets were because I never used them in Arizona,
I
and two
know.
is getting used to layering. And there's an art to layering. So because you get up here and it could be like 65 degrees, a little bit cool. So you be working outside and you can take a layer off and you're super, and but when I first got up here, I'd put something like heavy on. And I go outside and sweat my brains out, and then I take that jacket off and I'm cold.
Right.
So
Yeah, that sounds a lot like Courtney. She loves the layer. She's the layer queen for sure.
Yeah, well, it takes. I mean, I was good at it when I lived in Washington and all my life, but then once you go to Arizona, you're just putting flip flops on and a Jimmy Buffett shirt on and sitting around the pool.
I'm in shorts pretty much 365 days of the year.
Even when I was in Arizona, I didn't wear shorts. I just cannot stand to wear shorts. It's nothing wrong with them. It's a head thing.
You're not a shorts guy. That's okay.
I know,
That's
what
okay.
it is. My wife give me such a hard time. She wears them all the time. She's like, "Yeah, Rob just won't wear shorts." And it's like,
well, she's got nicer legs than you do.
Yeah, that's for sure. Have you ever been thinking about or doing? And this kind of prep questions for you.
Sure.
And the reason I like asking you is because you're I'd call it more the norm of how people look at things. You look at everything's all right, power's on, everything's cool. Why worry about it? And that's nothing wrong with that, unless shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
So are you doing anything asset wise to be a little bit more in case we had any trouble with our financial systems or banks or ATMs?
I'm working on that. We're working on certain things right now as far as that financial aspect, because you want to be ready just in case, my interest in gold and silver have gone way up, and just kind of wanting to make sure that I have something in case our financial system crashes, which doesn't look really that great right now, the way things are going, so.
And that's something we're doing too, is like this, we keep 2 or more, 2,000 or more in cash hidden. And we buy 8 ounces of silver every month. And the other reason I do that is when Christmas comes, just to kind of help with my grandkids a little bit, each one of them gets an ounce of silver. So it's a new thing I started last year. So Tracy's little boy gets something, and my 2 grandkids up here. And they're kind of young, and they're kind of like, okay, great. Looks like a big quarter. That's heavy.
But it's silver.
Yeah. And so it's like,
it's kind of cool though. I kind of like that. That's why
it's a great gift for the grandkids.
Yeah, that's a really good gift. I like that a lot.
It'll be a really great gift. Like 10 years from now, when it's maybe worth $50 an ounce, they're going to go, geez, I really love grandpa. I may not be around anymore, but who knows? But I just thought that would instill to them like, okay, I've got this really interesting coin. I can't spend it. I've got to keep it. And then as they get older and older, eventually they should get an appreciation for it. And then hopefully it creates a curiosity that maybe why did Grandpa do that? And so that's kind of been the goal with them, is kind of teach them about money and assets. Because would you agree that if things were a little tough and we got into a bartering mode a little bit, or while things were in transition, maybe they do that great reset they're talking about or whatever, and
Right.
and it could not happen. And it's like, but wouldn't you love to have a little cash on the side and maybe some things that are worth things like silver and gold? And it's pretty hard to buy it, $2,000 worth of gold to get an ounce of gold, and so I find silver to be an easy way to kind of build your stack up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
What's
usually
silver going right now? What's silver going to at right
when you
now?
buy it straight out, like from SD Bullion is where I buy my silver, you're going to be paying like $30 an ounce because they have a markup and stuff. And but it's dropped. It was up to $36 an ounce when you look at it. There's a word for that. There's the actual silver is only worth like $26 when you look at the rates, but there's always the commission of the sale of the product. So
Yes.
Yeah, you're looking at about $30 to $31 right now. It dropped a little bit, which was, I was kind of excited because I skipped a month of buying silver because they had a little jump there, and it's like, and Sherry's like, oh, okay, because I've been buying a lot of meat online, and I was going to ask you about that. But anyway, so I was just curious if you were actually starting to do anything like buying silver or gold, or
actually, I've inquired about it, and I definitely think that's a good way to go. Because we talked about this at a different time, and I remember saying, that's a great idea, and that was a while back, of course. But
yeah,
now I'm very interested in, and now that I have some money to invest, I think that's where I'm going to go. Because right now, I think even if we had money, would that $2,000 that you have even be worth anything? Oh, because all it is paper. It's all nothing but paper. So you never know. You got to have something that's solid, like we talked about.
Like
I could probably outlive for a year. Like I said, I've got that food source for what I need to do for about a year.
Yeah, if things get a little tough, I'd be after your food than I would.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. So I would just take all your silver. How about that?
Yeah, we'll go. We'll just trade silver.
I'll trade you the silver for our food.
There we go. See, we could barter this great together. You'd be a great neighbor.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. You give me silver, I give you food. That's the way it works. It's okay with me.
And that's what I'm saying is these are it's like having like extra gas, or having food, or having an asset like gold and silver, that if we went a couple months where things were a little tough and the banks were kind of going through a transition and we couldn't get our money, we'd be all right. We could barter. We could get through. I don't think you have to go nuts on it either. It's
no, but a little bit every now and then, would really, really make it a lot easier, just to kind of go and get a little bit of silver here and there. And that's what I'm planning to do, actually. We had already talked about it.
Like us, we get 8 ounces a month, but there's no reason why you can't get 4 ounces or 2 ounces, just a little bit at a time. That's your budget. And then, gosh, over time, you look in the place you put all your silver and you go, wow, you got pounds of it.
Yeah, you end up getting a lot of silver. And then, you start to think about if you ever get in a real emergency and you need to use some of it, it'll be a lot more, a lot easier to sell than anything else.
I was going to bring, since we're talking about bartering and stuff, I told you right now, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I've actually switched over. I used to get all my meat and supplies or get extra stuff for the freezer from Costco. I'd buy, all my steaks there and all that stuff. Well, eventually I saw someone advertising Butcher Box. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
Yes, I have actually. Yeah. Butcher Box isn't terrible.
I started, it's a little higher now, but $149 a month. And it's about, I think it's 8 to 10 pounds of different kinds of cuts of meat. You just go in and you kind of pick what you want, and you can change it every month. So maybe you want a little more pork chops in 1 month, and then next month maybe you want a chuck roast, and you can get New Yorks, and you can get tenderloins and all that stuff. Anyway, so I've been doing that for a couple of months now and loving it. And then I found another company that, because I make commissions from podcasts like this,
Right.
from they go directly in my PayPal. I get this, good sum of money. It goes into PayPal every month, and I shut down my radio stations because they were really a financial burden. It doesn't mean I can't do podcasts or any stuff. This is where I make my money when it comes to making podcasts and all that stuff. So anyway, that funds, I found another meat company that actually would let me use the transition to PayPal.
Oh,
So once
excellent.
a month from my cutting edge company is buying Sherry and I 10 pounds of beef from another company, and it's been awesome. And my freezer is looking beautiful.
I bet it is. Oh,
And it's all
yeah.
grass fed meat. Good
There's
stuff.
nothing like getting a good beef and then just
Yeah.
seeing your freezer. It's like, I can't wait to eat that.
And it's one of those, it's kind of like what we're talking about. Still, that's what kind of remind me of silver is you buy a little at a time, buying maybe 8 pounds of beef a month. And you just kind of get used to the habit. And then you keep loading the freezer. And before you know it, you look in the freezer and you're going, dang, we're in good shape. Like it. And then you can stop it at any time, So I was curious if they ever tried the service.
No, not the butcher. We've been talking about that too. I love the butcher box. So I've seen and heard
There's
so
other
many good
companies.
things about it. So
There's other
that's going to
companies
be
too.
an experiment for us. I like to go shopping, and there's a lot of really great meat markets around
Yeah,
this area.
I
So
bet.
really, I can get it just fresh. If I want it, I can get it fresh, and
Well, one
there's
of my
nothing like a
points,
steak right out of the case, right onto the grill. And oh my gosh,
one of my
amazing.
observations, at least when it comes to meat, is it seems like we're having problems with processors, and the bigger companies are having problems with ethics and things like that. Well, I'm surrounded by farms everywhere. There's cows everywhere around here. I'm going, why can't I buy beef from somebody nearby? Well, I found out I could, and I did. Then I came across that these butcher boxes and all these different companies. Like we have a city over here called Sisters, and we
Hmm.
actually have a Sisters cattle ranch that actually sells cows. So you can buy from your local people, let them do all the processing, all the stuff, and you can buy a quarter of a cow, a half a cow, whatever you
Yeah,
want.
I did that up on Whidbey Island. I did that.
Yeah.
Went in cahoots with like 3 or 4 people, and I bought myself a quarter of a cow. And oh my gosh, you don't realize how much beef that is
It's a
when you
lot.
actually stuff your freezer full of beef, and
Oh,
you're
it's
like,
wonderful.
this is insane. It was a little bit pricey, but
Yeah.
if you think about what the cuts you got and everything that and I used to be a butcher when I was in high school working part time.
Oh, really? I didn't
I
know
would
that.
butcher on the weekends, and I tell you what, man, some of that beef is, it's prime stuff. You just got to know what to look for. Get some good, get some really good steaks out of it,
Yeah.
some ribeyes,
And
some.
what's really nice about like the butcher box and all that stuff, all their packing is clear plastic shrink wrap.
And that's
So,
the
and
best.
the
That
box
is so
comes,
much
it comes,
better.
the box is freezing cold. Nothing is even close to thawing out after they ship to you. And you can see exactly what you got as soon as you open that box. You can see the steaks, you can see everything. And I've not been disappointed not even a little close on the quality of meat I'm getting. And so I've been very, very happy with the services. So,
Well, we just got ourselves a little doggy, a little puppy.
oh, you did?
And
What kind of puppy you get?
well, we actually got a kind of he's a little bit of a Scotty,
Yeah.
and a Scotty and pug. He's actually
Oh,
half and
really?
half Scotty and pug. He's the cutest damn thing. And I love beef so much, I named him Angus.
See, if he was up in Washington State, we would have named him crab bait.
Crab bait. He's a little guy, but I tell you what, he loves his meat. Oh my gosh, he does.
Oh, so is our German
He's a,
Shepherd.
he's a product of his own name.
Our German Shepherd, we'll give her green beans and stuff, and she eats it. And you can tell she's like, all right, Cinder's eating it, I'll eat it too. But you give this German Shepherd meat, that dog lights up, man. She's like, that is what I want.
Give me meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have to mix it in with his kibble because now he won't eat his kibble without it.
Yeah.
He's got to have some sort of meat in there, or else it's like, I'm not eating. Forget it.
So,
I'm going to bed without no supper.
down in Texas, you guys are you starting to see the signs of fall at all? Feeling the effects a
Just
little?
started. I mean, the temperatures just finally went down to about 85, I think it was today. And we're starting to see a change, definitely.
So,
I think we've had our last 90 degrees for a while, for a little bit, but
yeah,
you never know because it can pop back up in the 90s at any time here, just
yeah.
for, just a small heat wave. But definitely, we're seeing changes.
So the one thing I really liked about Arizona when I lived down there is year-round flowers. There was always flowers. I mean, it was like now here everything dies and there's not very many flowers. But you should notice that when you go down south that the cactuses and all the different kind of plants
Everything flowers, yeah.
year round. There's some kind of plant is flowering. It's amazing. So
Yeah, I
miss
do love
that.
the summers here. I tell you, the summers here are absolutely the bomb.
I bet.
You're talking 60, 70 degrees in the winter, and
I
you're
had to
loving it. I mean, I'm even in shorts sometimes. Like I said, 365 shorts for me, pretty much.
we're in that perfect temperature realm right now where it's like in the 70s plus or minus and cooler nights, and it's just beautiful to be outside. But that we're in the fringe of going beyond that pretty soon. Pretty soon it's wind, rain, cold, bitter, freezing temperatures for the next 5 months.
Yeah, and then we're just the opposite. We're sun and nice and cool weather,
I do miss
and
that.
it's just beautiful summers. You know how it was because you were down in Arizona.
And I question myself a lot of times. I don't know how many times I'll go, especially because I can go to videos and look at my life in Arizona, right? And every once in a while, I'll see a video of me sitting in front of the pool, throwing a ball of cinder in the pool.
Those are the things that you miss, because you were a part of that, and I miss some things in Washington for sure because the Northwest is beautiful. But there are definitely too many obstacles there, and I won't go into detail, but that prevent me to want to stay there, permanently anymore. I think I'm done.
When I grew up there, I could have told you I'd never leave Washington. It was such a beautiful place, and I would have probably ended up on the peninsula over by Squim or something, or up in Anacortes, But even those are getting infringed upon against the too much wokeness or craziness.
Yeah, I know. It's insane.
It's really, really been spoiled.
And Oak Harbor is one of the places I love. And so we even talked about moving to Oak Harbor and saying, let's just live here. But I have to say that it's gotten very bad with what you're talking about. And not to mention a lot of drug problems, lots of drug problems.
It's kind of funny. I grew up in a town of Kent, and now everybody's like, you lived in Kent? It used to be,
I know.
It used to be,
it used to be a respectable place, and it just got hit with a lot of that kind of thing,
Yeah, I just can't believe it.
It's very unfortunate.
I think I could still stand to be up by the northern border, and I think I could still be in the outskirts of some towns in the peninsula. But that's about all I could stand, I think. As long as I was close to the ocean, I'd be pretty happy. But yeah. I don't know. Times have changed.
Yeah, that's for sure. I just had a very close friend of mine lose her son to drug abuse. And very, very sad thing for me to experience. And it's a problem. We've got such a problem in the United States, and even more so that they're finding so many more drug seizures here at the Texas border than they've ever had in, years. They're finding more drug seizures. Why? Because they think they can get away with more, So it's becoming even worse and worse.
Yeah.
And so, the drug problem just continues to get worse as any part of the United States. And well, you know where it's coming from. It's coming from a lot of the places that we are allowing, migrants to come in.
Yeah.
And we don't have that protection anymore to funnel it through to one entry point or single entry points that are made it more difficult for drug smugglers to bring it into the country.
Yeah.
So it's a big problem.
In your area, do you feel like, I don't want to use the word conservative or folks that are, we got this woke thing and we have what's called awake, woke and awake. And the awake folks tend to be kind of ones that we've been sitting back, kind of quiet. Do you feel like in Texas that more people are pushing back now that usually didn't before?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially
I'm
here.
even finding myself doing it. It's like, you know what? I keep sharing out, you talk about all that stuff. It's like, well, this isn't accomplishing a thing. I've got a platform. So every once in a while, out of the blue, I just do something on my platform. And people,
I get upset, and
Yeah.
it's some of the things that I say and do. Sometimes I let myself get ahead and just say what I say, and I say right off the top of my head, don't think about it, and of course it upsets people because I don't want to hurt their sensibility, because there's so much of that going on right now. It's just ridiculous.
So I gotta ask, I know we only got a couple minutes left, but since you're a veteran, you've been in the Navy and served us well, and you've actually sacrificed more than some. How would you sum up what happened in Afghanistan? Feeling wise,
I'm absolutely disturbed beyond my words of thought. I've got there's a lot of mixed feelings there, and I have a lot of friends in the military still, and including my son, and it's one of those things that you just can't fathom. You cannot fathom. We made such a blunder over there. It's just unimaginable. All the weapons that we left behind, all the people we left behind, and all the Afghans that were helping, with us that we had to leave behind. It's a tragedy, and they're going to suffer for it. Not so much us. We're the ones that made that mistake. And I feel so bad for all those people that got left behind, and they're going to get tortured and killed. There's no doubt the Taliban are ruthless, and they will torture and kill them. So yes, I have such strong feelings. It's not even measurable right now.
Yeah. And I'm a college boy, so I never went in the military, but my kids were in the military, so I just easily stand in their shoes and say, what if that was my son? What if that was my daughter? And then the fact that, being a advocate for things that are going on in the world. That was a heartbreaking. It was a wrench in my throat of just, how could we have done that? That's the number one rule, whether you're in the military or not, never leave anybody behind.
Yeah.
I've never felt like that before so badly. I can think of in a lifetime of being really let down. And I'm not a vet, and so I don't claim to be. That just broke my heart. And it still does. And I really definitely are concerned for those that are left there, because we just can't fathom how those people think. They're not like us.
No.
And I know everybody wants them to be, but it's just not going to happen. They're a different culture.
Yeah.
And we just got to learn that. And I know you've got a great religious background. So do I. But, the bottom line is we've got to wise up and realize evil is evil.
We're showing a lot of weakness, and they sense it.
Yep.
Because evil always knows weakness. And that's what we're doing. This is what the country is showing, is a lot of weakness.
Yeah.
And we can't do that.
So I'm gonna be cutting us off short here, but our hour's up. But stay on the line like we normally do. But I want to thank you very much for being on the show today, George. I'd love to have you on some more, because it's
my pleasure, Rob.
Compare the region. The North and South have definitely got different things going on, and so I'd love to hear your voice. And plus, I just love having you on the show. You're quite intellectual. I love to have you. So anyway, guys, I want to thank everybody for listening to Ranger Rob Country Living Podcast, and we'll be back next Wednesday at 5 p.m. and we'll talk to you all later. Bye, guys.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.